Józef Richter Sr. came to Łódź from the Czech Republic in the 20s of the 19th century and bought a plot of land along the once Placowa Street, today's Fr Ignacy Skorupka Street. He built a small factory here for the production of woolen fabrics, which grew over time into quite a substantial enterprise. Two of his sons bought part of the land from their father, and after a dozen years or so, two magnificent villas surrounded by a park were built on it. One is the picturesque Reinhold Villa and the other is the Józef residence, in front of which you are now. The residence is inspired by the Italian Renaissance style. In the 1930s, the last owner from the Richter family sold it to another Łódź industrialist clan, the Biederman family. After the war, that building was used by the Polish Scouting Association, then it was used as the public orphanage, and in 1976 it was transformed into the wedding palace of the Łódź Polesie district. Exactly at that time, while using the building's function, a wedding scene for Krzysztof Kieślowski's film Blind Chance was filmed here. The structure of the film shows us three possible life variations of the main character, Witek Długosz, played by Bogusław Linda. Whether or not Witek manages to catch the train to Warsaw, his fate is completely different. He meets other people on his way, makes other decisions. In the third version of the story, Witek stays in Łódź, graduates from medical school, marries his college friend Olga Matwiszyn, played by Monika Goździk. Just before the ceremony, Olga tells Witek that she is expecting a baby. While taking the oath, Witek finds it difficult to hide his joy. Unlike the previous two options, in the third one, Witek tries to remain politically neutral. He doesn't take sides. He refuses to join the party, but also refuses to sign a letter of protest in defense of students arrested for opposition activities. The director doesn't clearly stand for any of opposing sides. In each version, the protagonist is the same Witek Długosz, equipped with the same personality, the same character. At one of his meetings with an audience, Kieślowski said that each of us is a grotesque marionette tossed about by the calculus of probability. This vision has been regarded by some as moral relativism. However, there seems to be a deeper wisdom in it. Kieślowski shows us that moral essence of the individual is something separate from the historical ruts into which the individual falls. The vision of Blind Chance is still intriguing to this day, with its ambiguity. The film was shot in 1981, just before martial law, but due to its politically inconvenient subject matter, the film, like many productions of the time, was shelved and became known as a shelved film. The release came after 6 years. While making Blind Chance, Kieślowski was 40 years old, with another 15 years of life ahead, as well as 16 films, including those that brought him his foreign fame and Oscar nominations. Let's recall: Three Colors Red earned a nomination in 3 categories: Best Director, Krzysztof Kieślowski, Best Original Screenplay, Krzysztof Kieślowski and Krzysztof Piesiewicz, and Best Cinematography, Piotr Sobociński. However, many critics consider Blind Chance as a key moment in the director's cinematic journey. Going back for a moment to the building itself, namely the Józef Richter Villa, the building has a number of film titles, of which the most famous, and in a literal sense, was an episode in the series Four Tank Men and a Dog, directed by Konrad Nałęcki. In the 11th episode, a shootout occurs during an attempt by the Rudy crew to occupy the building. On the next day, and in the next episode, Tomek Czereśniak, played by Wiesław Gołas, makes scrambled eggs in the fireplace, and when he cannot wake up the crew, he throws a grenade through the window, which turns out to be the most effective alarm clock of all. Richter Villa was also featured in Andrzej Wajda's Promised Land for an episode. Its southern facade is visible for a moment during the long scene of Anka's and Father Karol Borowiecki's ride, when they are going from their hometown village of Kurów to the big city of Łódź. The following shots show how extremely different elements formed the mosaic of the city. Next to the massive factories and tall chimneys, we can see the areas of Jewish poverty, crowds of hungry people waiting at Grauman's barrels for work. A modest funeral with a tiny coffin shot at the pastor's mill is contrasted with a shot where an elegant lady walks through the park with a baby carriage just against the backdrop of the Richter villa. Andrzej Wajda described the scene in his autobiography. It brought a panorama of city life, from the rural houses almost of the suburbs to the great palaces of industrialists and bankers from the main streets, where behind iron fences were delightfully dressed and oblivious children of factory owners, like in golden cages, play ball. It took weeks to film this sequence.